Hey, what's up, y'all? We on Respect the Vibe right now, man. My name is BSC LU. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. All my family, man, like I'm Mexican. My mom and dad are from Casas Grandes in Chihuahua. So that's I've been there before, like a couple times. It's kind of small. It's I would say like the biggest city close to that is Juarez, and that's kind of like a a border town. It's like right, you're in Texas, you're in Paso, and then boom, you're in Juarez in Mexico. So that's where my family's from. A lot of my uncles, aunts, they're right from there. A couple of us came, not a couple of us, but my uncles, my aunts, little by little, people started coming into America. Some people went to California, some people went to Florida, and that's where my mom ended up. I think she was they went to California first, came to Florida. They're like, we like Florida, and I almost grew up in Fort Pierce. My mom's like, nah, they seen Indiantown, they're like, that's where we want to grow up, in a little smaller town, So Indiantown, man, it's small, like it's small, it's mixed. It's like, I kind of almost explain like a small like somewhere in Palm Beach, something small, like a town like a small Fort Pierce, is pretty mixed. So growing up, going to what is it, Warfield Elementary, Indiantown Middle School, and then when we go to high school, it's so small, we don't have a high school out there, like a real high school. So we go to Stewart, to South Fort. So yeah, man, actually that shit was an eye-opening experience, man, from going from a small town like elementary, middle school, and then going to South Fort. You go to high school, now you got all these surrounding little areas. You got Palm City, you got Stewart, you got Hope Sound. And that's when you really see like, oh shit, Indiantown kind of different, man. Indiantown's so small and mixed. And then you go over there, you're like, oh shit, it was an eye-opening experience. I think actually my first like language was Spanish. Like my mom and dad, they both just talk Spanish, they didn't really talk English. So even though I'm growing up in Indiantown, like as a kid before going to school, really, just talking Spanish, really didn't start talking English probably until like learning off TV or going to school, and then everybody talking English. And actually like they kind of look down on you a little bit if you're like, man, you in school here and you need to learn English, So but as far as like the music inspiration, man, I was inspired like as a young kid by like what my mom listened to. So growing up, we always had a shitload of cassette tapes. You put the tapes in a little organizer thing, and I listened to Los Tucanes de Tijuana, Los Huracanes del Norte, and Los Tigres del Norte. That's probably the top three right there. Huracanes and Tigres is my favorite shit. And it was funny because growing up, man, there's this song by Los Huracanes. It's called Ranchero Chido, and that was my favorite song as a kid growing up. And if you listen to it, man, he basically rapping on there in Spanish, on the corrido, but in Spanish, basically rapping. And then ever since then, man, like, growing up listening to that, and slowly, man, like watching, probably BET at the time or MTV at the time, they play those videos, man. Growing up, man, I started getting like, inspired or just, I was just a fan of hip hop, man. I was just a fan. Like growing up, man, I started writing rhymes early, probably like middle school. I can remember coming home writing rhymes, listening to like, at that time, and still, Biggie, Big Pun, Nas, like all these artists, man, like that's who I was a fan of. Eminem was popping like 99, 2000, so I think I was still in middle school. And so listening to that, man, I got like influenced by all of those guys. And just listening to that, man, I got influenced by that. I like the art aspect, what I'm saying? Like I didn't really like a lot of school shit, but like art I like. And just listening to music, writing music. So yeah, I started writing like middle school, high school, and it was years before I started recording anything. I started recording on my own, like at home, downloading software and shit, and just basically figuring it out, because when I used to write, I didn't write the beats. So it took me a while to figure everything out. And then I did a project in 2013 called I Be On That Bullshit, and I did my boys crib, like, so I just recorded the whole thing in his closet, basically. Yeah, it was in his closet, and you know, he mixed it and everything. So 2013 was like really the introduction to me putting music out. Before that, I had, you know, put some songs over known beats, like you know, freestyle type verses, put those up on YouTube that I recorded myself. And then 2013 was like the first project, and then, you know, that was the first time I recorded it somewhere else, like other than myself. And then after that, 2014, I followed up that project with Back on My Bullshit. And that was actually my first time in a music studio. So LCP Studio in PSL, shout out to them. That's where I recorded that project, my second project called Back on My Bullshit. And that's the one where I feel like I really like, that's my first solid project with all original beats. You know, I didn't do any freestyle type verses. It was all songs. It was a complete project. I'm like proud of that project. Like, I listened to it a little while ago for the first time in like a couple years. So that dropped in 2014. The singles for that was BSC, Back on My Bullshit, and Home of the Dreamers. Home of the Dreamers probably like one of the most successful songs I've dropped to date. It's just talking about Indiantown. We shot it in Indiantown, like a music video. Yeah, man, we're just passing up 10 years now, man. That was 2014. And that's one of my biggest songs. Like, that's what I'm known for. Like, it's just Indiantown shit, man. You know, putting the town like on screen, man. We rode through everywhere in Indiantown. Fucking BP, New Hope, Uptown, everywhere, man. So 2014, I dropped Back on My Bullshit. I think 2015 I followed up with Shitnanigans. So we did I Be On That Bullshit, Back on My Bullshit, and Shitnanigans. Back on My Bullshit was like the most complete project out of those three. And then Shitnanigans, I was just like, man, I'm dropping songs, but they're like for a contest here, a freestyle here. So I just put a bunch of stuff together. I dropped that project, and that was that. So those three projects, they were all like mixtapes. And then 2017, man, I dropped my probably the best project to date, man. 2017, I dropped the Polar Bear Experience, and that was the first album. That's the first, like, you know, it had all original beats. That's the first project I put up on Spotify and, you know, all that, you know, iTunes, all that. And that's my most complete project. It's a concept project. It's called a Polar Bear Experience because in 2011 I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And 2011, you know, so it took a while. It took some time, man. I worked on that. I had ideas. I started making songs that felt like needed to be on an album. So little by little, man, I started working on that. And 2017, I dropped the Polar Bear Experience. And it just, you know, from the name to when you hear the project, it starts off like, you know, it basically, it's like it's the Polar Bear Experience because it's basically I'm taking you through a manic episode to depression. So when you listen to it, you know, not just what I'm talking about, but the way it starts off great. You know, manic episodes always start off great, and then you're feeling good, and then it just goes up, man, until it's uncontrollable. Probably the middle of the project, the song's called Manic. That's when all the way up, and then after that it goes all the way back down. So I just, you know, from the lyrics to the album structure to everything, man, it's just talking about my experience with bipolar disorder. The Polar Bear Experience, man, I dropped that in 2017. The follow-up to that was Whatever. So I dropped an EP called Whatever because I was just like, man, I just want to put out some music. I'm not really worried about, like, you know, an album, like a concept album, nothing like that. I just put out an EP called Whatever, dropped some dope tracks on there. Let It Off came off that. BSCLU came off that. So after that, man, that project came out 2020. I dropped some videos. I think 2021 I dropped BSCLU off that project. And then I took a couple years break, man, for like a couple different reasons. You know, 2024, so from 21 to 24 I might have put out like a little song off to like SoundCloud or some shit. But the last video I dropped, you know, before this last one was 2021, BSCLU. 2024 I dropped Lost in My Spaceship, The Greatest Pastime 3. So 2024, Lost in My Spaceship, that was the first video I put out since BSCLU in 2021. And you know, back to the name change thing, like, so I took a couple years off. I was rapping, you know, my rap name was my government name, Luis Gomez. And then I seen, like, when I started putting music up on Spotify and all that, my music always got mixed up with like reggaeton artists, bachata, merengue, like salsa, like all that, right? So I was like, man, I gotta change the name. And it was fitting because it was crazy. Like, I came back with Lost in My Spaceship, and it was like, hey man, the last shit you dropped was BSCLU. It only makes sense, you know? So boom, BSCLU. And then from now, you know, I'm just working on singles. I'm not really worried about dropping a project right now. I'm just trying to do singles and music videos, man. Just, you know, and just keep grinding, doing these shows and stuff. So yeah, it's just like a passion, man. Like, I don't really like to do a lot of other shit, but you know, sitting down, writing rhymes, making music, and just putting it out, man. Like, right now I'm in a different headspace. Like, before I was trying to, like, oh, I gotta make it, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And now I'm just like, man, whatever, man. Like, whatever, you know, I'm just going with the flow. So you know, writing, going to the studio, making music, putting it out, and not really stressing about like how good it's gonna do, how many views it's gonna get, who's gonna see it. You know, just do it, put it out, and then, you know, we'll see where it goes. Right now, man, I'm working on a new song. Should be coming out soon. We already got the, you know, we're gonna put out a music video to it. It's called Cumbia. It's featuring Crazy One from Lake Worth and AMG Chapo from Naples. So it's cool, like, what we got going on right now, man. Been doing a lot of shows lately. Shout out to Fuel House. He's been bringing some artists together, getting these shows together, man. And soon we got a show coming out, you know. We got Propaganda on December 5th. I think it's gonna be out there before then. Brought to you by Respect the Vibe. So we're doing that, man. So just trying to put out singles right now, music videos, and do shows, and then just try to say yes to shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, the opportunity pop up, I'm just saying yes. I fuck with people that fuck with me. So if you listen to my shit, I fuck with you. You know, even from the interviews, from the shows, from like studios, whoever, man, the fans, supporters, you know. I appreciate everybody that's come to a show, everybody that, you know, I see people, they say they listen to my shit, thank you. I'm appreciative, you know, because I listen to so many people, man, and I'm like, I don't have time to listen to everybody, but if I listen to an artist I really like, man, they stay on, you know, they stay on my Spotify, my Pandora, all that. So, you know, I just appreciate everybody that put me on their playlist, fucking watches the videos, put a BSC sticker up on their car, whatever, man. I appreciate y'all. Man, I got so many shout outs, man. Shout out to you, man. Respect the Vibe. I appreciate the interview. Shout out to Fuel House, man. He's been you know, promoting all these events, getting these shows together. Shout out to Southern Swerve, man. Guy behind the camera, man. We're coming out with some shows, man. City to City with Swerve and Fuel House, and then we got another show called On Tap with Lou. That's gonna be myself and Southern Swerve visiting local breweries and just checking out the vibe, man. Trying out some beers, you know. I'm like a fucking draft beer connoisseur or some shit, you know. So I like going to breweries. That's like my hangout spot, man, anywhere. So we're gonna start off locally and then try to go everywhere around Florida, man. Then we'll see what happens after that. And then shout out to all the artists, man, that been working with me lately, you know. Me, Crazy One, AMG Chapo, we got a song coming out soon, single and music video called Cumbia. So be on the lookout for that. And then just like, man, everybody I've been fucking with lately, man. Flaco Benitez, man, he's dope as fuck, man. So shout out to him. You know, he just did this show not too long ago that I attended, I was part of. So shout out to everybody that's been you know, putting these shows together, man. Like, I appreciate you guys. And let's just keep doing it, man.